Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Above the Bar podcast, where each week we belly up to the bar with a new guest, find out what they do, who they are, and what makes them great. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to another episode of the Above the Bar podcast. It's your host, Sean. We are bellying up to the bar today. We've got our guest. As you all know, I'm lucky I can play the radio. This gentleman, he plays good music. He's got skills. I actually read this to him beforehand. For those of you that know me, I have a good friend named Tom. Tom is a legitimate drummer. I am a legitimate video game. I don't even know what the hell. I can't play music in my life. I'm so horrible at it. I can sing, believe that shit or not. But I sent him over our guest KLAE, and that I love the fact of what it means. It's keep learning and exploring. I sent him over KLAE's music, and I want to read this before I actually let KLAE talk. I'm going to cut him off for a minute. He said, "Well, your boy there certainly has chops. His touch is very well practiced, like serious fundamental work." And then he said, "Punk rock attack drummer." I read that to KLAE earlier, and his response was, "Bro, thank you so much. That really means a lot." I didn't know what that means. You want to tell me what that means, KLAE? Like that for me?
Well, what that means is it's a fellow drummer who kind of sees where I'm coming from. It's interesting. He said punk rock attack drummer because that's kind of the roots of where I got started, was just listening to punk rock and playing fast and playing hard. And it still is a huge part of the style that I approach almost everything with. So it's just a huge compliment that he can hear that in that track. So
So look, both of you get this. Look at that, Tom. You even got it. So as always, before we get ready to go far into this, as we bellied up to the bar with our man KLAE, I want to make sure we get everything taken care of, all our typical house cleaning here, folks. So first things first, if you've got a thing you're supporting, we've got our board, sticker and a cause. Whether you've got another podcast, whether you've got a charity that you're supporting, whether it be local, national, I don't care what it is. Send me a message. You can always reach us. Our Facebook account is The Above the Bar Podcast. Our Instagram is The Above the Bar Podcast. Our email is theabovethebarpodcast@gmail.com. The only one that's off on its own is the fact that our Twitter is @AboveTheBar4. But I had this conversation. I'm going to get KLAE's opinion because I think KLAE's probably younger than I am. But I'm going to get KLAE's opinion on something here in a minute. But we have our Twitch also. For those of you that are watching us on Twitch, thank you so much for all your support. But our Twitch, again, is the Above the Bar Podcast on Twitch. So you can find us on all those different locations. You send me something. You send me over your item. Like I said, sticker and a cause. And I will be more than happy to read your thing on here. But also, we got to support those that support us. So I made this comment a couple of times. If your media is a little bit in a snare, you can't keep tempo. You can't get the metronome to follow along with you in your media. I'm trying to think of any music shit I can think of. But I'm not good with this shit. I love music. I'm the guy who's like,
that's good.
I can listen to somebody and go, yeah, you're good or you're average. Like I can do that and not in a douchey way. There was a guy who could sit there and watch like America's Got Talent and all those shows and be like, yeah, that one's good.
That was going to win.
Yeah, like that's the one right there. But we've got to support our media by Dibs. Your connection to all things media, from logos to marketing campaigns, flyers, and more. Making your ideas a reality. Mention the phrase belly up to the bar, and you get 10% off your first order and a free consultation. So that's everybody. Everybody's taken care of there. All the things taken care of. So here's the question before we get too far. I'm 45. How old are you?
I'm 41.
All right, so fuck it. We're right in the same
We're
wheelhouse.
not that far off.
You just look younger than I do. He's eating. He ain't got as many kids as I got. That's just proof of that shit.
That's true.
I don't care what he says. But so here's my question for you. At 45, do I have any business on Twitch?
I don't know, man. I don't even know if I have any business on Twitch. No, I would say I'll be honest with how I feel about it and how I feel about even my age doing the things I'm doing. Is it's never too late.
There
You're
you
never
go.
too old, never too late. Because there's someone out there who's going to be interested in what you're doing. I mean, proof in the pudding. I've seen people watch the weirdest things on Twitch. People watch people eat on Twitch just to hear the sounds and to watch people eat. Like it's whatever. Yeah.
I can't stand this to hear the sound of somebody eating.
I can't either, so I can't fathom why someone would like that. But there's a market. People make a lot of money doing that.
Yeah,
right? People watching other people play video games and talk about it. Right? Seems like the craziest thing to me.
My kids are all about that, like watching somebody else play video games, and I'm always the guy going, I don't get it. But I grew up. I grew up with an uncle, and this is probably why I enjoy hearing guys like you and you brought up punk rock. I got to ask you, we just had a punk rock band last week that I would love for you to check out when you get a moment.
Yeah,
that's part of the same group you're part of.
Okay.
Punk is a Doornail. Have you listened to them yet?
Punk is a Doornail?
Punk is a Doornail.
I have not heard them.
You have to listen to them.
I'll have to check them out.
The guy plays it. The lead singer and guitar player. His name's Keith Irish.
Okay.
He plays what's called a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
It's a skateboard that he turned into a guitar.
That's wild.
It's so punk rock. But now, so if you grew up with that punk rock sound, who were your drumming influences growing up that kind of pushed you to this point? Because I mean, you're unique in the sense that, folks, KLAE is a one man show behind them drums. Like, who were your influences growing up with the drums?
Well, it's actually a wide ranging variety. So I'll kind of give you the rundown from the beginning. My mom is a huge Elvis fan.
Okay.
And so I grew up listening to a lot of Elvis. I remember a lot of Billy Joel, kind of top 40 stuff in the house. And then I didn't really get into rock. Really, I mean, Elvis is rock and roll, but I didn't get into modern day rock and hard rock and metal until it was 92, 93 when Metallica's Black Album came out. And
Okay.
that was one of my first, like, oh, I want to go play the drums. Like, this is cool, right? So it stems from that as kind of origination, and then went hog wild from there. Like the 90s were rampant with amazing drummers. But in terms of punk rock, it came from everything from Social Distortion to NoFX. I grew up at the high school at the end of the 90s where Blink-182 and the pop punk scene was huge at that time.
We talked about that recently. So now, do you consider the pop punk scene as punk? Like, so punk to me is Ramones, Sex Pistols. I had never. What was the one Flipper? I just learned about Flipper. Real big fan of the documentary. If you ever get a chance, a band called Death. If you ever get a chance, to watch it, that's a phenomenal documentary.
Yeah,
Detroit-based punk rock band that was 2 or 3 brothers, but they were black.
Oh wow. Okay.
So punk rock is your birth into this.
Yeah. So punk rock was. I say punk rock. Yeah, it was really Travis Barker has a lot to do with a lot of drummers' careers and their influences. I'm not gonna lie, he's a force to be reckoned with. He was one of the first that made me think, oh well, I can. What he does is amazing, but I thought, well, okay, I can do that too. Like I can go play drums for a band. Okay. And that was one of the first real realizations of, hey, I can do this with other people, right? And that's kind of where the end of my high school years is where it started forming bands and started the process of doing things like that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
tell the people in Starbucks keep it down. We're doing an interview. Tell them to keep it
I'll
keep it
try.
down.
I'll try.
Keep it down.
They got business to do too. Sorry.
They're very excited in Starbucks right
They're
now. They don't
excited for a
realize
day off tomorrow.
they don't realize the celebrity that they have there in Starbucks. They're not aware. So this is your third album that we're doing. Um, now I was looking at the first two. Love the cover art. Where did it go? Did I not? I'm like trying to mess with my phone right now. There it goes.
No, you're
So
good.
the new one is Stomp Out Hate. Now this was listen, folks. It's not Stomp Out Love and Repeat. It's Stomp Out Hate, comma love, comma repeat. I don't want anybody being like, my man said to stomp out love. It's not what he's saying.
Nope.
It's stomp out hate, comma love. Uh, Look, hey, I'm not sure who Angie is. I'm assuming Angie might be one of your friends. But I'm
She
saying,
is.
Angie, if you are anywhere close to where KLAE is right now, please stop by. Tell the damn teenagers to keep it down. Just a load of shit.
She's right here.
But, oh, look, you really are that
She's
close.
one of my biggest fans.
Look at that. She is that close. And I have to say, we were talking about this earlier. You're in. If you guys have never left your own little hubbles of the world, you got to go to Utah.
Mm.
Knock on KLAE's door. He'll play you. He'll play you a tune.
Play a
Just
couple tunes.
play a couple tunes. But he's in what I always say is the most beautiful state in the entire country, Utah. If you've never been, it is mind-boggling how beautiful it is, and the different climates that you can find in that state are silly. It's like
Yeah.
pneumonia heaven. Like you can just go from cold to hot all day long.
Yeah, it's really it's one of my favorite geographically places to be on the planet, at least that I've visited so far. And it's because you can get everything from the go skiing in the mountains and then drive just a handful of hours and go hiking in the Red Rocks and Arches. So
Now, is that where you grew up?
for the most part, yeah, I moved around a lot. I have family in Texas as well, like El Paso, Texas. I grew up a little bit there, flew back and forth a lot. So, but from middle school through high school, I spent most of my years here up in the Cache Valley, just north of Salt Lake.
So here we are. So I'm trying to figure out. So we're listening to Elvis growing up, listening to that early rock. We're in the same generation. All of a sudden, it's early '90s. Smells Like Teen Spirit hits. Our
Yeah.
entire world changes. The term alt rock is born.
Mm-hmm.
To me, alt rock growing up was more like the Violent Femmes, B-52s. Uh,
Yeah.
that was alt rock. It wasn't grunge. So when
Yeah.
people, I don't group them together. They're not the same to me. So this hits. What's your first band? Like, are you like, I'm just trying to imagine here. You know, 9-year-old KLAE's hearing this. Like, when are we picking up a set of sticks? And what are we jamming out to? Like, what's the first band?
Well, what's the first band? Well, the funny part is you say, I mean, depends on if you want to go 8 and 9 years old. I was hooked on pop at that point. I was still listening to MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice, New Kids on the Block stuff. Like
I'm okay with it.
And that's what's funny part is that's where a lot of my my love of current pop music comes from. There's a lot of stuff I love out there. There's some that's not so great, I think, but I like the stuff that has some musically interesting and some interesting harmonies, melodies, and stuff that goes. It's all if it's surprising and interesting, I'm hooked on it. So
Now, but did you ever join a band, or was it always just I'm just drumming?
No. So my first, I mean, the last. Let me figure out how to answer that. So my first foray into drumming as a whole was into marching band in high school.
Okay. So you were like a legit, marching band, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. So marching band took up my entire life for all of high school. It was a really competitive school. We competed locally. We won lots of state championships. We won regional stuff. Drumline was phenomenal. So we had a high standard to live up to. So it really instilled a lot of the discipline and the practice and the just driving to be the best in our field. So that's where that started. And then from there went into well, the pep band needed the drummer for the football game, so they're like, "Hey, you can play." I said, "I can't play drum set." I was too scared. The first couple times was really too scared to. But then once we sat down and had a rehearsal, and they're like, "Hey, just go like this," and I learned really well by just watching and doing. After,
Okay.
like, if someone can play it for me, I can generally go and play it afterwards. I mean, there's a limit to that because some drummers are insane. But yeah, I sat down and started playing pep band songs at football games, and then turned into high school talent shows. Someone wants to form a band to enter the talent show. Hey, plays drums. Let's form a band. So we ended up playing the high school talent show. We ended up playing what was it? Guns N' Roses tune, and I don't remember if we won. I don't think we won the talent show. But then that band formed into an actual band after that. We're like, this is fun, this is cool. And that first band actually went on to, we sold out the local theater. We did a CD release, put out a CD, sold like 1,000 tickets to a sold out show, and put on a gig. And it was pretty big deal for the small hometown. Like most
awesome.
bands locally don't do more than just weekend bar gigs. So we pushed pretty hard early on, and then from there it just kind of alternated. I met some friends in other bands. We started forming different bands, and this a lot of that I spent probably the better part of 10 years just running and gunning, trying to keep a band together, get members to join a band, or it's a lot of personalities to keep together, and sometimes difficult. So
It's about and yes, Angie, he is handsome, and we let kids in at the bar. We don't care. He's the bar back.
check
right
check
now.
that guy's ID. Check that guy's ID. He's working. He's good.
He's my bar back.
That's awesome.
You got to get him put him to work now, so that Santa knows what he's worth. So where do we go from all the and I want to make sure I'm understanding this right. It was almost like you were, what's the right, like, so in football you have a utility, you got utility players that they can be fit into any system. Was that kind of the drummer you were? Like, somebody said, damn it, we need a good solid drummer that can pick our tunes up real quick. Hey, somebody hit KLAE up. Yeah.
I mean, in the beginning I was just the drummer for this band. When we started a different band, it was the guitar player and I connected on a creative level. So we started writing tunes for a new band. We didn't really know what we were doing. We were literally just, let's stay up until 5 a.m, write a record, and go to work the next day. Right?
Did that work?
It worked. I mean, creatively, it worked beautifully. We spent I can tell you, a lot of my early 2000 years were not a lot of sleep, because we worked full-time jobs at the time. So we were working 8 and 10 hour days. We'd go home and take a nap, meet up at the bar, talk smack on other bands and local creative stuff. Like, how do we do this? Blah, 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 whatever. And then we'd go to the studio at 10 p.m. and come out at 5 a.m. and just have written a half a dozen tunes. So he and I clicked. That kind of set off a whole creative chain for me, and I'll start tying it together, because that same guy, we've been friends for that long. We've been friends for over 20 years. Worked together, played together, recorded together. He actually owns a studio here where I recorded all my stuff, and he's on top of that, we're on tour with. He's the tour manager. I'm the stage manager for a different band. So
you say the band you're out with, or
so they're an up and coming band called the Backseat Lovers.
Okay.
I say up and coming, but I mean, we just flew to London to play 3 shows that were sold out.
You told me you told me you were like, hey, we're headed to London. There's my media guy, Divs.
Hey,
That's my media guy.
Nice.
So I was about to say you're saying they're up and coming. Up and coming people don't go to London and do shows. Like you're more than up
Well,
at that point.
it's true. It's true. I mean, they're quick bit of. I mean, what I know about them, I joined them in September for this last little bit of their tour this year because they needed some help, and they're fantastic guys. They're a bunch of young guys, early 20s from Salt Lake City, that are just killing it right now. It's the true power of social media. Is every night there's like, how do people in the city even know who we are, much less know all the words to our song? They said, dude, that's how, when you write really good songs and you're really good dudes, that people love it.
Well, I mean, I know I've done this before. How many times have you ever heard a song for the first time and tried to sing to it? Do you know what I mean?
Not very often, but it does happen sometimes.
Yeah,
where the melody is just so catchy, you almost have to.
And you've got hello, Rose Rockwell says hi. Hi, Rose.
That's a crazy Aunt Rose.
Is that crazy Aunt Rose?
Crazy Aunt Rose.
That's even better. That it's crazy Aunt Rose. What makes her crazy Aunt Rose? Can you say that on the air?
Well, it's the funniest part of that is my mom. So she is not my crazy Aunt Rose, but that's how the world abroad knows her. She's actually famous as Crazy Aunt Rose.
That's even better.
Knows her, so.
Like my mom is the crazy aunt. That's even better.
Oh yeah, she is.
That's
she
awesome.
is. So, it's a good time.
So now if you hear a large banging sound, my two jackass cats, one of them is trying to get over. They're about to. I'm looking at the one who I brought the crate downstairs and it's sitting on a chair right now. And
that's awesome.
Jackass is like trying to push it around and figure out how to get inside of it, but it's sitting on a bar stool under clothes. And we're like, you have no idea how close that was.
Teetering on the edge.
Like this is going to be like a game show within the show. The fucking thing's teetering on the edge, and he's pushing it. He just pushed it back onto the stool. I can't even make this up, folks.
Need a cat cam.
Crazy. Let's see your Crazy Aunt Rose. I will send you. I'll show you. Your mom wants to see my cats. Let's see if we can do that. Yeah. There's one.
Oh, hello, cat.
And then.
Oh, there goes.
Yep. And that was live on TV on the show. I told you that shit was about to happen. Somewhere over here is the other one.
That's awesome.
Are you a dog or a cat guy? Or no?
If I was forced to choose, I'm a dog guy, but I love cats as well. I love animals in general.
We have like a lot of animals. We have a senior citizen dog that's 13 years old, and then these two cats that are like just barely over a year, and the cats are assholes, man.
So they're drive going crazy.
Oh yeah, completely. So we've got this phenomenal, and I apologize, folks. I want everyone to go out and check out Stomp Out the Hate, and then comma love, comma repeat. I failed KLAE today. I did not go on it, flip out a video as I normally do. I got caught up with some things. I am a failure, but my failure becomes your homework. Now you have to go download and go look onto what is it? I know it's on SoundCloud. I know it's on
it's on all the streaming platforms. So anywhere you can find any streaming music at all, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, whatever you use, it's out there on all those under KLAE, KLAE. Or if you link to my website, which is scrolling at the bottom there, you can find links to all that. Or to videos specifically, YouTube. Just look me up on YouTube and I'm there.
And look, the website, folks, is KLAE, KLAE drums.com, and that's Kilo Lima Alpha Echo Delta Romeo Uniform Mike Sierra.com. If you can't figure it out, if you put a C for Sierra, you can go ahead and unfollow me. I don't know what else to say.
Sierra the person, isn't it?
Yes, that would be Sierra the person.
It's Sierra, right?
Well, you know what? Mother Rose, Crazy Aunt Rose. I know the answer because he educated me, but I want KLAE to tell the story because I think it's a phenomenal, positive story. If
Um,
should I give her? Do I need to send her the StreamYard link? Because I might send her the StreamYard link and just let her.
Shay, go for it, man. I'm not opposed to let's make it a party. Get
So,
real entertaining here.
so tell the story of KLAE.
Well, bar time nut. So the funny part is the way it's spelled actually came about by accident. Ironically, came about via Starbucks. My birth name is Clay, CLAY.
Okay.
Um, but it was, I think it's funny because at the time I was living in Florida. My now ex was working at Starbucks, and every day we'd get a different name on a cup. Sometimes they like to make them up, right, and spell them funny, or on accident they'll spell them funny. So we started going like, how far can you take that, and how weird can you get it? And it turned into, so one day one of her friends handed me a cup that was KLAE, and I'm like, you know what? That's actually kind of cool. Um, and what it actually stems in the meaning behind it, and the built-in, what it really means is keep learning and exploring. Um, is really built out of I mean, in the chronology of my story, we're not quite there yet, but I did do an internship at the Percussive Arts Society in Indianapolis
Now, what
back
is
in
that? I don't even know
2000.
what that is.
So the Percussive Arts Society is the professional organization for drummers and percussionists, meaning you pay dues once a year, and you're part of the. You can get the emails, get the updates, get discounts and stuff. But it's a community of drummers and percussionists around the world. Everybody, they just actually last weekend, I think, had their international convention. They're back in person after the previous year, and so it's an entire convention of just drums and percussion. So concert percussion and jazz drumming and rock drumming and anything in between. There's things you can't even fathom in terms of the the wild creativity of percussionists and composers when it comes to playing unique pieces, because percussionists have a unique ability of independence of limbs to do lots of different things. So composers love that. So you get a lot of unique pieces and interesting things. The convention is actually really fun to go to. It's also got a music hall where you get to check out new gear. A lot of the manufacturers come and show off all their new stuff. So
So look, Miss Rose says, in a spectacular museum there. So this, I mean, this is interesting. Like I didn't even know. So you did a stint there.
yeah, that was in 2014.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now was that a? Because I don't know it. Listen to what you say. It sounds like a non-for-profit type organization. It's
it is.
supporting that. So was this like an intern type thing? Was this a paid gig thing, or was like, hey, I
Um,
volunteered to better myself kind of thing?
yeah, it was actually a paid internship. So it was after I graduated college. Graduated college in 2013, um, and I thought I was kind of trying to figure out where to go from there, because I went to school for music. And I thought, okay, well, if I can get myself into a little more music administration, or kind of, see where the road's going to take me, because I know even at that point in time, um, music as a career, there's a lot of different paths to take as a musician in this world. Not
Okay.
all of them are performing. Not all of them are recording. Not there's a lot of them. I know a lot of people who are musicians who work as administrators. And not it's not just performing and teaching are the only two options. It took me a lot of years to learn that.
And you know what? I would have never, like in my mind, if you went to school for music, you were either going to play music, teach music. It wasn't going to be, any other kind of realm like that. Uh,
That's what I thought as well. But a lot of people, and I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of people who didn't go to school strictly for music, but love music and are musicians that get into marketing or business. And there's people at these music companies. Some of the biggest manufacturers in the world are um, people who just love music and want to support these musical companies, right? So most of them are musicians at heart. The ones who aren't just love music and love supporting the industry. So
all right, so we're there. We're paid internship.
yeah.
Um, what what what
um,
happens?
well, so it's it's a very interesting time in my life. It was a lot of, like I said, I just graduated college at the ripe age of 33. So I was being an older student. I was just kind of trying to figure out, okay, where am I headed with this? The internship gave me time to kind of sort out. Okay, here's what I mean. In that internship, kind of started the seeds of what you're seeing now with the record and with some of these ideas. Um, so the internship was also part of it was working at their drum and percussion museum. It's called the Rhythm Discovery Center for anyone who's interested in downtown Indianapolis. It's a hands-on learning museum. And when I say hands-on, I mean you can touch and play many different things in that museum. But it's a great learning opportunity. We did lots of tours, lots of demonstrations for young kids. We would give tours to 100 elementary age kids at a time. We break them in half. We break them. I take 50. The other
Break,
person takes
hold,
50.
hold up, you broke children in half? Hold on, what the hell's going
Did
on there?
we did
You broke the children in half.
we tried not to, but sometimes it
Them kids
happens.
break so easy.
They do. No, they bounce back real fast. Um, but no, it was educating them on I mean, everything from the function of how do you hear sound, how does sound work, and what mean, what does percussion really mean? What is, when you talk about an instrument, you have to talk about, well, why is this percussion but this isn't, right? So a lot of that demonstration, but we also have a lot of hands-on. Um,
That's a
here's how
great
you do
question,
this.
though. So
Yeah.
what is so what is the difference? And my best friend Ken just posted. He said, and for some reason, if you're posting on my personal page, folks, I apologize. I can't, for whatever reason, StreamYard isn't putting it on my normal so I can share it with the guest. I'll
Yeah.
read it to him. But my best friend Ken says positivity. He likes it. He loves your positive attitude.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's that,
So
that was it's important for me to. It's kind of where the keep learning and exploring came from. Is I think with my time at the museum, you I've had a long running philosophy of you can learn a lifetime of things about drums and percussion, only drums and percussion, and still never learn it all.
So what's the difference there? So you kind of said you taught kids the difference between drums and percussion, and I guess in my mind, again, I can tell you
Well,
it's between a treble, to a baritone, all the get into all that, but I don't know the difference, you know, in that aspect.
Well, when you get into this, I mean, talk a little broadly first. So you have to define what does percussion mean, right? So drums, I say drums and percussion. I separate them in my head because I'm a drummer, and it means like drum set and drums. But even drum set, even as its whole, is still percussion instruments. So percussion is anything you can hit, shake, or scrape to make sound.
Oh, really? And scrape.
Yes. So like we have like a
Martial work.
it's a Latin instrument like a güiro where you would like scrape and scrape up and down, or um, there's a lot of instruments that you actually scrape, which is odd to me, but to make noise. Yeah, a lot of Latin instruments use shakers, scrapers, and different things. So
Now, here's a curiosity. What do you think about and you'll tell me what the name is because I just call it a box they sit on. What do you think about the box thing that people play? Like they sound good. I like the
they
sound
just
coming.
sit on the hit like between their legs.
Right. It's like
Yeah,
it's like a box bongo kind of thing.
it's actually called the cajon. It's Cajon. That's how you spell it.
Okay.
And it's I don't know the whole origins of it. It's a lot of instruments to learn about, but I know it comes from, I believe it's Latin America, mostly Cuban. I think it's
Makes
uh,
sense.
it's a Cuban instrument, but it came out of just not having a drum, not having the money for a drum with the skin over it to stretch it. So you just, what you got? You got a box, hit it and make noise out of it, right?
Interesting.
Um, I think they're wildly functional in lots of different formats, but I don't. I've seen maybe two people use them to their full potential. And what I really mean by that is there's a lot of different sounds you can make out of one box that most people are just going boom bap and that's it.
Okay.
Um, And I'll do a little bit more. So one of my pieces in college we played at a concert was actually a cajon trio. So three of us playing different parts that used lots
Did
of
you take
different.
cojones to play it?
It did. It did. It was it was a lot. It was no joke. It was a le- that was good. That was good. It actually took a lot of time, and yeah, it was kind of a pain to play. Just really really complicated, and you have three people who all have to play together, and we're all trying to. None of us had the time in college to memorize, so it's 11 pages of music.
Holy shit!
It was I want to say it was a 5 or 6 minute piece, and it goes it's rock and roll. It goes fast. It's lots of fun, but it uses a lot of different sounds. You can use the scraping sound of your fingernails on there. You can use your hand to just kind of scrape, get a different whooshing sound. Use your knuckles to make a knocking sound. It just whatever.
I was just curious. I mean, I don't mean to make a hard left here, but that was one of
No,
those things. Like, I don't. So I'm. You're really educating me and all of our listeners who need to make sure they go to KLAE Drums, KLAE Drums, DRUMS.com. Check Clay out. Keep learning and exploring new. He's got the new album out. Uh, Angie Rose says hello. Talk about Morris. We'll have to find out who Morris. I know
Morse.
Morrissey. Find out Morris is.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Well, I guess, like, come on, Rose, keep me going here.
Let's go.
I ain't got to do shit tonight. Rose has got this. I'm just gonna hang out.
She's got this. It's gonna get real random real fast.
Rose has got all the interesting questions, shit that I wouldn't know to ask. Rose, thank you. This is for you, Rose.
Yeah, the crazy Aunt Rose.
Crazy Aunt Rose gets some applause. I got Rose. I know you got me.
She
That's what I'm talking about. Rose, you got me, and I got my bourbon. We'll be good together. Look at this. We're gonna make this shit happen. So who's Morris? Is that a cat?
So Morse, Morse, is actually it's actually the first tune that kind of kicked off this whole creative vibe. It's a tune I had an idea for about 10 years ago. So in college, you start getting all these crazy ideas. Well, I could do this. I could base it off of this, and it could be based off of this. And like, how do I pull that off? It took me a long time to figure it out. So I actually took one of my favorite quotes and translated it into Morse code.
Okay, like actual taps and everything, old school Morse code.
Yeah, because I was interested in the rhythmic application or the ideas behind Morse code, and I just never spent the time to go learn it. So a couple years ago, now I guess it would be a couple years ago now, I went. I'm going to go figure it out. Go start learning the process, at least of understanding what it means, really truly means, and started putting this together and thought, well, this is actually really cool rhythms. So I decided I wanted to take, again, one of my favorite quotes and turn it into a Morse code signal.
What?
And see if I could make a tune make it. My challenge was to see if I could make Morse code groovy and cool. And I think I succeeded.
Now,
So
is that on an album somewhere?
It's a single that's out. If you go to YouTube, you can check out the video. It's actually on all the streaming stuff too. So it's just called Morse because I don't want to be direct about it and call it Morse code. But
that's wild.
It's a super cool tune. Like I said, it's kind of what kicked off the whole creative writing cycle I'm in right now with the Stomp Out, Hate, Love, and Repeat. That's a part of that writing cycle. And
now, what is your cycle? Like I've heard from all kinds of different musicians. Like I told you, I'm that guy that I can't play music, and it's not like I don't want to learn. I've tried to sit down. My wife can play a little bit. I have a son who can play. He was in there's an organization that kind of came out of the movie and the play, School of Rock. They're now all over the country. My son that was into that. But I love music. But you listen to different artists and they have processes. Like, I need this, I need that going on. Let me ask this first. Can you tell me what your process is?
I can tell you that I'm still learning what that process is. So I mean, I because this is my first real foray as a solo artist. The first record I released, I think you were looking for the cover of the real colorful one.
Yes.
That's yeah, that was my first foray into writing stuff solely on my own. Everything prior to that I've written or been a part of is me and one other person writing, or me and a group of people writing. It's always been a collaboration, you know, with other human beings and personalities in the room. So that was my first record was really a matter of, well, can I do it? You know, because up until that point I had been just the drummer. I
God.
played the parts. I created the parts for myself, and often played what other people wanted me to play too. But it was so it was real good, kind of getting my feet wet into the songwriting process, the production process, recorded all the stuff. So I played all the stuff on that record myself. So it was just 100% wholly me that I just went to my friend's studio and he recorded it.
And I gotta tell you, Clay, because I'm you you're such a nice guy and a nice like you've kept me from doing my only drummer joke.
What's
I only have one.
what?
And that's that the old saying of what do they call the guy that hangs out with the band?
The drummer.
The drummer. And I like you're such a nice guy. Like I can't even do
Oh
that
no.
joke with you.
Oh no, the drummer jokes are the best. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of them, but one of my favorites is like when I can count to four and repeat. And that's about it.
See? I wish I'd have known that one because my buddy Tom, who was my partner at my old job for almost a year, I'd have used that shit on him all the time. He's getting a kick out of the fact that I'm talking. So we used to sit at work, and I'll never forget one day somebody. What is the little practice pads that like
Yeah,
you can tap on and they really don't make a lot of noise?
yeah. They're just practice pads.
So some guy sat next to us at work, and he's like, and he's doing this. I'm looking at this guy, and Tom's like, "You want to choke him, don't you?" I'm like, "Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I do." At this very moment, he's like, "I'm like, I'm gonna make you eat that
It's
fucking stick in a minute."
it's the that's the catch. The I can't think of it. The dilemma, the drummer dilemma, is we want to practice as much as everyone else, and often more than not. But we make a lot of noise when we practice. If you're
Yeah,
playing on a drum or snare drum, you pull it out. It's like, well, that's way too loud for everybody. Practice pads are kind of much quieter, but still obnoxious. Yeah, I used to. I mean, my mom can attest. I used to, when I was in drumline, I struggled to memorize my parts, so I would just go through them, you know, every night watching TV. Just go through my parts 100 times to figure out how to memorize it.
nice.
So
Now you've mentioned this a couple of times. Your buddy who was in the studio, who you had his studio. He was, you wrote music with him, the whole nine yards. He's in Utah. Where are
he
we?
is.
Like, if you're out that way, because it sounds like there's a pretty good music scene coming up. Where can somebody go find him? Let's plug. You've said the guy about 100 times. Let's go ahead and plug this guy. He deserves just as much credit.
Yeah. His studio is. I'll be honest. He actually just moved before he left for this tour in July. So he's under construction in his new space because he's doing it in between tours. But it's palehorsesound.com. Or Pale Horse Sound. If you look it up, he's done. He's a great producer, great engineer. One of the best drum sounds I've ever gotten on a record was with him. And we literally, he doesn't like to admit to this, but he and I did a record in a 10 by 10 concrete room.
What?
Literally a practice space. We thought, well, we had a space here in Salt Lake City, and we had a whole records with the stuff. And we didn't want to pay to go into a studio space, but we had the gear, we had the mics. We're like, well, we can make this sound good on our own. So we went into the room and just did what I think everyone should do in any proper, even a good room, is just experiment. See, we experimented with placement of the mics, the drums, tuning of the drums. We literally spent an entire day just getting drum sounds. But
And
we did
what's
the
his
same
name?
thing.
What's his name?
Greg.
Greg
Greg Downs.
Greg Downs. So
Yeah,
Greg Downs, he's the man behind Pale Horse Sound, palehorsesound.com. Um, out in
yeah,
Utah, new space coming. This is where
yeah,
KLAE got his sound. And you can check out all his stuff on all the major platforms, anywhere where you're finding your music. You can download it. Make sure you download it. If you download it, send us a message on our Facebook or Instagram or send me an email. I will be more than happy to pass that over to KLAE. I want to know
yeah.
what folks are thinking. Take a moment and listen to it. I know you're supposed to be listening to me right now, and only I'm the only sound you're supposed to hear right now. But take a moment, go listen to KLAE's sound. Tell me what you think. Bring it back to us. Let us know what you're thinking. I'll tell you right now, I got to give you a little plug. I want to continue to hear about how this process work and what you're going forward with. But when I listen to Stomp Out Tate, I will have to send you a video. So you saw my 4-year-old that jumped in my lap, brought me my ice.
Yeah.
So we were sitting in the kitchen last night, and I was listening to your music. And he was watching his iPad, and I called him over. I said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" He started jamming, brother.
Yeah.
He was bouncing. Now
That's awesome.
I will tell you that this is also the child that I had to get a new mic cord, which you know how this works. Oh, I need this special ass cord that nobody has. That
Hmm.
I need an XLR with a 3.5 millimeter on one end and a female XLR on the other end.
Okay. Okay.
I,
Yeah. It's
I
very
also
unique plug.
yeah, I also need to find a needle in a stack of needles inside of a haystack.
Yeah.
So we're at the store and they've got all the vinyls in there. And he goes, "Dad, I want that one." I said, "You don't want that album." "No, I want that album." I said, "Do you know what that album is?" "I don't know, but I want that one." He grabbed Metallica Ride the Lightning.
It's a good
And
choice. It's a good
then we sat
choice.
in the truck and he jammed out to it. So
That's awesome.
the best compliment that I have is that my 4-year-old jammed to you, brother.
Thank you.
He felt your tune, he felt your pacing, and he loved it, man. So I gotta give you another one. You're getting the
I
most applause
appreciate
I've
that.
gotten in a while here, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. It's fun because kids are honest about everything. They're not going to lie to you about that kind of stuff, and they're good at reacting to things. Reacting the way they naturally would. So that makes me feel good. So as a drummer, there's nothing better than making people dance and having a good time.
Well, that's really, that's a big part of the drumming process is exactly what you're saying. Who's listening? How are you feeling? Do you feel that in your chest? Now, do
Yeah.
you ever go back? I'm just curious about this. Now, we talked about some of the newer drummers. Do you ever go back and listen to? So I grew up, and the one drummer that was always put in my face because of my uncle who was my biggest influence in music,
Mhm.
John Bonham. I was
Okay. Yeah.
John Bonham was kind of put in my face like, you need to listen to this guy.
Oh yeah.
This is amazing. Have you ever gone back to any of those older drummers from that era of music? Because I really think like there's this space in like late 60s through the 70s that there's amazing music. The
Oh yeah.
80s gets really super poppy, and then we
Hmm.
hit the 90s again, and there's this amazing sound of music, and then it falls off, and maybe I'm
Yeah.
older. I just haven't caught it back up with something that I'm.
Um. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that, and it's I'm. I'll to answer your question about drummers. I did. Yeah, I've done a lot of digging. Um, in lots of different ways. So, oddly enough, Metallica was one of the first bands I heard. They put out a record of just cover songs, bands that they like. So, and I thought, well, I'm going to go listen to. If I want to sound like them, I want to listen to the bands that they listen to, right? So I'd go back and listen to Thin Lizzy and Black Sabbath, and go back to listen to I mean, and, I can't say everyone, but everyone I'm around loves Zeppelin, and Bonham is a force to be reckoned with. Um,
Bottom or Moon. Bottom or Moon.
for me, Bonham all the way. I mean, part of my fun at the museum that I used to interned at was we had a drum set exhibit that had everything from the really early drum sets from like the 1920s and before to like we had one of the Bonham. We had Bonham's Green Sparkle kit there.
They're
We
like the
had
real kit.
his actual kit on. It was on loan for the museum. We had Neil Peart's Chrome, one of his early Chrome kits as well.
A Neil Peart kit.
Yeah, we had, I mean, we had everything in between too. So we had like Glenn Cochee from Wilco. We had Ndugu Chancellor, who the drum set that he actually played on "Beat It" for Michael Jackson. Like that was, I loved that Thriller record, so that was like
Yes.
top tier for me. We also had an old Gene Krupa kit. So when you
I
talk
don't know who Gene
about,
Krupa is. Who's Gene Krupa?
so Gene Krupa is from I want to say the 30s or 40s. Yeah, you know the tune "Swing Swing Swing."
Probably if I heard it.
You probably know the drum beat. It starts out with
Yes. 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 Yes.
that's a Gene Krupa. Gene Krupa is one of the big drum band leaders from way back when. So big band swing. Um, and so I've spent time looking into all of those drummers. Like Buddy Rich is one of the monsters of drumming that you, if you're into drumming or interested at all, you kind of have to go to Buddy Rich at some point to look at what he's done as a band leader, as a drummer, because he's phenomenal.
Now, what about Aunt Rose says you met Elvis's drummer?
I did at that. A lot of times people will come through and tour the museum as VIPs, and he was in town. Um, honestly, his name is slipped my brain right now, but he came through, and we had to get a chance to meet him and chat, and we give him a bit of a tour, and it was wonderful, wonderful moment getting to meet. He was one of Elvis's main drummers, like towards the end.
That's just so. This is just like you're. This is the stuff where I get giddy about items like that, and what I love is the history behind them,
Yeah.
and what they've touched, and the stories behind them. I, I told you, I grew up listening to hearing how amazing Bonham was, and you got to listen to Bonham and the Bonham
Yeah.
solos. I don't know if you've ever heard this story that they would actually have to put the the mic to record some of his drumming out in the hallway
Mm-hmm.
because he was so loud
Yeah.
that it couldn't, the mics couldn't pick it up. It would just
It just distort and be horrible. Yeah.
have you ever, now what do you think? I'll put you on the spot for a minute and got it. You ain't gonna answer this. What do you think about John Bonham?
About Bonham?
Or Jason?
Jason Bonham?
What do you think? I still love Jason. I love the group Bonham.
Yeah, I mean, I like Jason's drumming. It's very reminiscent of his dad's drumming, which I think is part of the deal. I mean, he was in a lot of. I mean, he's picked up that style from just, I think, needing to. Everyone wanted a Bonham, on the drums, right. So it's similar style, but very much his own still. So I think Jason's a great drummer. I haven't checked out a lot of his musical endeavors, personally, so I can't speak on that. But yeah,
he had a pretty good album back in the late '80s or early '90s, and it was just called Bonham.
Was it?
It was a band called Bonham, and it was Jason, awesome. And he was playing the drums. There was always a story, I don't know if it's true, back before the internet, that he always wanted to tour with the remaining members of Led Zeppelin, but they used to push him away and say, "No, you're not as good as your dad. Don't get as good as your dad, and then we'll let you." I don't know how that shit is.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I
mean, it kind of wouldn't surprise me, but yeah, it's hard to say on those kind of things.
Just curious, because you're in that, like, you're in the know, bro. You're in the know.
I'm trying to be in the know. There's so much. Well, it's one of my favorite things about music as a whole, is what you mentioned, like, knowing that Jason put out a record called Bonham, and is that there's so much music out in the world that you can't ever know it all.
No.
And so it's one of my favorite things is learning about new things and discovering, like when I went back and listened to Thin Lizzy for the first time because Metallica liked Thin Lizzy, and like,
oh yeah,
and since have heard, a lot of people, Thin Lizzy's a huge kind of anchor point for a lot of musicians, right? It's a great band. I fell in love with them, right? And so it's interesting to go back and go around, and even with people I know like when we're on tour in the van, it's like, hey, what do you guys listen to? Oh, I went off this way and listened to some band over here. Oh, I've never heard of them. Send them my way. You know.
Well, that was going to be my next question for you. What is your, and like we said, you've got a great rock influence, you got a great punk influence, you play an amazing rock punk sound. It's got like that very. I love the fact that it's not straight, and you tell me if I'm wrong. It doesn't sound like it's straight, just analog percussion drums. There's some digital sounds filtered into there to make for that digital drumming sound. It's a great mix of everything. But now you're sitting down. What's your hard left turn for music that where people go, "Are you fucking serious, Clay? You listen to what?" Like, what's your hard left?
It's a good question. Let me take a look because I'll pull up my music stuff and take.
While
a
you're
look.
doing that,
Well,
Angie and Aunt Rose, what are your hard lefts in music? I'm curious. Anybody else who's out there, what's your hard lefts in music that people go like, you like New Kids on the Block? I'll tell you, for me, anybody who knows me knows I hate country music. Can't freaking stand country music.
Okay.
I love bluegrass.
Awesome.
And Tyler Childers is like my man. I will listen to Tyler Childers all day long.
Okay. See, and I don't know. It's hard for me to define what the hard left would be. I've got a couple I've used over the years when asked that question. It used to be like, oh, well, I got Christina Aguilera on my playlist too, because I love that late '90s pop.
That seems like a departure. That's a departure.
It is. It's for me. It's not, because I've been listening to it for so long, and like I love a really good pop sound. So like my mom and I actually went to Justin Timberlake's last tour, the Man of the Woods tour, and at our arena here at home, and that was an amazing show because he's surrounded by amazing musicians and performers.
I love Justin Timberlake. Yeah. And I don't give a shit what nobody says. My man can sing his fucking ass off.
He dances like a maniac too.
Dude, what is the Tuxedo album?
Yeah, the 2020.
Dude, the Tuxedo album, is unreal.
Yeah.
If you can't sit down and that was the one that Timberlake did everything for Timberland. Timberland. I don't know. What's your that's actually an interesting one. What's your collab like when you're like, for you as a drummer, when you think about moving forward? Is there any producers that you're like? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you for a minute. So Angie says you love musicals.
I do.
Says we met the fabulous drummer. I don't know.
Yeah. So the day we went to the Justin Timberlake show, we were walking up to the show, and where our arena is placed in downtown, all the trucks for the stage crew and all the staging have to park on the street.
Okay.
And so the buses are parked on the street too, and we walked past the loading dock area, and the drummer for Justin Timberlake, Brian Fraser Moore, standing there talking to someone, and my mom flags him down. We have a quick chat. And, he's one of my favorite drummers currently, like of the last 5 or 10 years. He's played with everyone from Christina Aguilera to Janet Jackson to Justin, to Madonna to Justin Timberlake. He's the big gun in the pop world right now.
And Aunt Rose, if you ever make it to the East Coast, Aunt Rose, let us know. I promise you, if you make it to Albany, my bride and I will take you out and we will have a good time, because she just sent a message that says JT is so sexy. I love you.
That's true. He is.
I'm not going to deny it. I'm not letting my wife meet him without me being around. I ain't that confident. I ain't that confident. I don't give a shit what nobody says. I ain't that confident.
See, and if we ever met him with my mom, I'd just walk away. Be like, "Oh, have fun.
Just be done.
See you later."
Like,
see you. Okay,
I gotta go, Mom.
I'm gonna go hang out with the drummer in the band.
Right. But now I'll tell you, we're just talking about drummers for a second. Have you ever seen the drummer from Dave Matthews Band?
Um, yes. So we I've been to did go to a Dave Matthews Band show. I want to say it was the late '90s. I want to say '98 or '99 maybe. But funny stuff. Funny enough, my mom actually met him in a restaurant back east somewhere. She's on a business trip. I don't remember the whole story. She could tell you the whole story, but she was at dinner with the clients or hanging out. She looks over. She's like, is that the drummer?" She looks over, and sure enough, it's Carter Buford.
She
Yeah,
just said in
Hartford,
my friend in
Connecticut.
Hartford, Connecticut. Well, he's
Yeah,
my
so she.
second favorite drummer. My
Oh,
first
okay.
favorite drummer is KLAE.
Oh,
You need to go to
thank you.
claydrums.com, KLAE drums.com. Keep learning and exploring. Check out the new album. We're going to get into the new album now. I know we've made some left turns. This is what happens when you sit at a bar.
Well,
Shit never goes the way you think it's going to go.
never
So
does.
let's talk about the new album for a minute. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
I don't need Wendy coming to get me. Um, we got to talk about the latest album, Stomp Out Hate, love, repeat. What's I mean, obviously Stomp Out Hate makes perfect sense, but what's the birth of this?
Well, so when I did that Morse code piece. I started. It's all part of like the set. It's kind of the same writing cycle, the creative bubble I was in. So it was prior to the COVID shutdown when I started writing those tunes. So it was all before this, but it really took on a life of its own when we we got shut down, and then riots starts happening, and lots of protest starts happening, and there's a lot of tension in the world at that point in time, and that's when really I saw a lot of real hatred come out of friends and family, and in lots of different ways. And I won't get political about it, but um,
For people you didn't expect to see it from.
yeah, I mean, a lot of out of left field, like, hey, whoa, where did that come from? People I thought who were you kind of have expectations of
Right.
people, and you think someone, but then they do a quick left turn.
Hard
Um,
left right there.
yeah, so it was just kind of it was disheartening time in life for a lot of people. I mean, was stuck at home. I was lucky enough to have a job that I could take and work from home, so I wasn't out of work at that time, but I was still, didn't want to go out. Was worried about, I've got family members I'm concerned about getting COVID, so we want to make sure we're keeping everyone safe. So we're not. Um, but then, so I mean, really, where it came out of was a tension and frustration in the world. And I thought to myself, it's like really just need to get rid of all the hate in the world, and there's no really ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like I catch myself all the time where I have to like stop and go, okay, I'm being really judgmental, and like I feel like I mean, hateful is a pretty harsh word in my book. Like there are maybe two people in my entire life I could say I truly hate, because hate is like the extreme for me. Like I don't use that word lightly.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you so much for
I
saying that.
I there's some people, I get frustrated. There's people I dislike, but it's rare. I mean, for many reasons. One of which, like in college, there was someone who I didn't get along with and didn't like personality wise, and thought I'm like I don't want to be around him.
Right.
But one of my best paying gigs ever came from that person.
So
So
it's interesting, and I got to pause you for 1 second, Clay.
yeah,
I love the fact that you see the word hate that way.
yeah,
I've always taught my children that. I've always spoke about them that way. You don't use that word unless you truly understand. You can say you don't like somebody. You can say they're annoying. You can say they're a
yeah,
pain in the ass. You can say I never want to see this asshole ever again in my life. You can say any of
exactly.
those things. But when you say you hate someone, that's a level that goes to your heart,
Yeah,
and it's hard to get rid of.
it comes from the soul, and it's
It really does.
we don't really, and I yeah, I mean, I really I felt that way, like I said, about a very small handful of people, like maybe, like I said, maybe two in my entire life. And it's hard to get rid of. It's hard to, and that's kind of the step here is, okay, well, what can I do to minimize that in my life? Because I caught myself in those moments, early 2020, going, well, I don't want to be around these people, and I'm borderline hateful of them, but I don't want to hate them. It makes me feel bad when I hate people. It doesn't make me feel any
It
better.
hurts.
Yeah.
Like you
And so,
carry that shit with you.
but it's a negativity I don't want around. And so I I mean I would rather cut ties and just not be around those people anymore than to feel that level of negativity for myself. It's kind of a selfish thing, but it's a self-protecting survival instinct. Like, I just need to not be around that kind of negativity in my life. And but the question is, who needs it?
Right. It
Right?
doesn't help you any.
It's not helping anybody to feel that kind of hatred, and um, it's hard with the things that are going on in the world to not feel the tension and not. But if we can, if we can get rid of that hate, that facade hate of like, oh, I hate you for this or I hate you for this, and
Right.
have a conversation about things, then, um, you know, again, not to get political, but if we could have a solid, positive conversation, doesn't need to end in agreement, but doesn't need to end in hate.
I know I'll jack this up, but what is it? Mark Twain said, "You can't hate anyone once you've visited where they're from." He said something
Yeah,
along those lines. It was Mark Twain,
yeah,
and I think it's the damn truth. You can't hate anyone once you've seen where they come from, what and understand what they're doing, brother.
yeah.
That's such a beautiful thing, and I gotta agree with Aunt Rose here. First off, I agree with Aunt Rose here, Nathan. Let's look at your fantasy football stats right now compared to mine. I'm at 8-3 right now. Where are you at? Where are you at right now? Hey, I'm 8-3 and still wearing you all out. Uh, but she's right. Hate festers in you. Angie, I have no idea what PMA is. I know what PMS is.
I can.
I don't
Well,
know
I can expand
what
upon
is that.
that.
What is PMA?
So PMA stands for positive mental attitude, and it's something we use, and I've got a
You
lot
have to
of friends
practice
who,
that. You have to
huh?
practice that. That's a
Uh,
practice thing.
it is. It is. It's a daily. It's part of the process. Is how do you? Well, that's where it all comes from. Is how do you get rid of the hate? Right. You have to practice a positive state of being, a positive mindset. Um, we were talking about just the other day, she and I, about you kind of have to replace those negative things with a positive thing, even if it's just a personal statement of, hey, I don't, I feel this way. Okay, well, what positive can I bring out of that? And it's as simple as sounds. It's a little cliche and often comes around in cliche moments, but when bad things happen, you have to look for the silver lining. at
Agreed.
at minimum, you have to find something that makes
Find
you
the
go,
positive.
okay, this is going to be good at some point, or to get you through. Right? You don't want to end up in the bottom of a hole, spiraling down negativity, because that's depression gets out of control that way. So
Find the positivity. I say
yeah,
it all the time. Can you find me the positive? Yeah, this sucks, but what's the positive of it? What did you gain out of this? What did you benefit from it? Where's the positive in it? I
yeah.
absolutely agree with that 110%. Brother, you
Mhm.
got such a great attitude. Now,
Thank
with
you.
that attitude, we got to find you. We can't just listen to we can't just download this from all these music servers. Is there anywhere, tours, dates, anywhere that people can come out and find you?
Um,
They just need to knock on your door. Let's ask.
they need to come knock on my door right now. No, I'm working on that. So, um, it sounds like a simple thing, but yeah. Um, but when it comes to, I'm at this moment. I was actually talking to my friend Greg about putting on a show
That's
and
Pale
trying
Horse
to.
Studio, Greg, right?
Yeah, Pillar Sound.
Pale
And
Sound.
we it's really just trying to find the right venue, because so what I am doing and trying to do is it's not going to be a book the local bar and go play for
Right.
whoever's there kind of thing. Locally, there's not a lot of great avenues to pursue when it comes to putting on a unique show like that. So when I'm shopping around, looking at some places, I've got my eyes set on doing something this next spring. But
Awesome suggestion.
yeah,
If you can do it, if you can get out here, you need to play the egg.
the egg.
The egg.
Check it
If
out.
you, I will tell you right now. And just like that, shit just broke inside of Starbucks. Fucking Starbucks just fell apart. That's what that shit was, folks. I said the egg and the whole Starbucks fell apart.
They're like, yeah, we're down.
We're down with this shit. It's just an amazing venue. If you were to look at if you look up a picture of the Albany skyline, it looks like a spaceship, and it's called the Egg.
Oh, I have been there.
Have you?
So on one of the tours I was on a few years ago, I got really shitty drunk at a bar not far from there.
There's plenty of them.
Because we were playing. I was on a crew for a tour, just doing stage managing, but doing setup and stuff. And we went out drinking that night. We walked past this thing that looked like an egg. We're like, what the hell is that? No one knew, but
that's the egg.
Awesome.
That's where I saw Ben Folds play.
Yeah,
and it gets no more intimate than the egg.
Interesting. What's I think the big question is what's the capacity? Like how many people? Is it tiny or is it like it's huge?
No, it's smaller.
Okay.
And the way I'm trying to think, my wife, if she's listening, she might be able to tell me better. But I bet you if you look it up, 150, 200 seats, maybe depending upon what room you're in inside the egg, because there's multiple rooms. And the way the seating is done, like when I watched Ben Folds 5 there, or Ben Folds, not Ben Folds 5, Ben Folds, he sat on the stage and it wasn't like in the round or anything like that. Everything was on the other side, but it was very tall seating, so you kind of went up a pretty high angle, so that nothing was a bad seat, nothing was bad to see him. And the acoustics the acoustics are unreal inside of it. So inside of that one, all the walls were wooden. There was just some type of wood paneling, so the sound came through just in an amazing way. And he's kind of a wild guy. Everybody kept throwing things up there because he lets you pick the songs that you want to hear. And everybody tried to get him to play Brick, and he would play like the first two notes and then be like, next. He would not play Brick, which is odd.
Just go for it.
That's a quick question. How do you feel about artists that won't play the song that made them?
It's a hard one. I see it kind of in two different ways because I've seen it from the bands who are tired of playing that song, and like once you've played it 10,000 times in a row, I don't blame them for saying, you know what, I need a break from it. But as a fan, it's hard because that's what brought people to you.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, that's why I something we talk about a lot is like, well, people came to see you for this song, so may as well give it to them and have a good time. Learn to find the joys in playing it. If
I go to see Eddie Money and he doesn't play Two Tickets to Paradise, him and I got a fucking problem.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And a lot of the older artists understand that. They're like, you know what? We're going to give it to you. It may not be until the very end, the very last song, but we're going to give it to you.
You know, it just like that song. Give it to you, give it to you, give it to you, give it to you. Like, you better play that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta give them what they paid for, man.
And that's it. Like, it was just, he played everything else, and he played some amazing songs off his album. Like, I love your mom right now, Clay. Like, I love your mom right now. So,
you know what's funny? No one doesn't like my mom.
So, Clay, have you ever met Sting?
I have, actually.
Please tell me, because he's in the one movie that I own on every single platform you have ever been able to own a movie on, short of reel to reel.
Was that Dune?
You got it.
Pretty sure it's one of his few.
And I've actually seen Sting in concert, and he did a very, very similar to, remember VH1 Storytellers?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He did a very storyteller type concert. It was amazing. So tell me about meeting Sting.
Well, so the last since 2006, roughly. I don't even know how many years that is. Been working at Sundance Film Festival. So
Nice.
we do. That's where like we're still part of the relationship I have with my buddy Greg from Pale Horse Sound. Is we have another colleague. He's actually the front of house for front of house touring engineer for another artist. So we've all been working together for like 20 years, just doing shows and hanging out and like working together. So a lot of my opportunities have come from those guys. They go out and he's the front of house for like Lindsey Sterling. He offered me to come out and help for a tour. So I've been beneficial enough to have some opportunities by those guys. But so Sundance was one of those. They called me. So ASCAP is the.
What's it called?
It's called ASCAP. It's ASCAP. It's I want to say it's American Songwriters, Composers, and Publishers. It's another professional organization, but basically they're the ones who collect the royalties for you and send
Okay.
you the money. So they're important for us.
I really
but
thought
they,
you said ass cap, like
uh,
ass cap.
I did, but it's spelled with one less S than you think.
Really
But
thought that's what it is. Ass cap.
so they sponsor ASCAP sponsors a music cafe that is really intimate, usually 200 people or less. And every year we do 10 days of artists nonstop. So it's 5 or 6 artists every day come in. They do a 20-30 minute set. um, Greg hates this story because it involves someone else. He actually missed this day. um, but he so we so every year for Sundance we load in on Thursday, and we do a show on Friday. Friday's our first show. It's first weekend's always the big weekend of Sundance. All the stars are in town. Um, well, we did our Friday show, and we had heard that Sting had flown in and did a show with his band, his current band, just up the road. Like, oh man, I wish I would have known that. I would have I would have tried to get in, right? Because we all know the local techs, we all know people who are working. So sometimes it's an option. But we also got a call that night from our venue manager, basically saying, "Hey, we need you guys to come in really early the next day on Saturday. Sting's going to be here sound checking, and he's going to put on a show." So we made room for Sting, and
Yeah,
we're
no
like,
shit.
"Yeah." So we all showed up real early to kind of set things up and get things ready. Because it was not planned part of that series that year, so it really came in last minute. But
Oh,
he
that's
came in. He did. He had scored part of a film or did some songs for a film that was in Sundance that year, and so he came with a composer and did a few tunes, told some stories. It was just him and a piano player, his composer friend who played some piano pieces. So really intimate. Um, Literally standing room only. Like I was standing in the bathroom in the back trying to like get a peek, make sure the stage was good because I'm the stage manager for that as well.
that's awesome.
It was a phenomenal day.
So that's that's wild, bro. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine. Uh, I couldn't even imagine the opportunity to meet Sting and just to get a chance to. That's so cool, bro. Uh,
Yeah, it was a kind of a magical day, and it's hard to top.
I that's wild. See, I would always want to talk to Sting about. I think the name of the song is "Tomorrow We'll See."
I think
I think that's
so.
I think that's the name of the song. The Sting high end transvestite prostitute song. Have you ever heard that?
I have, yes.
I think it's called "Tomorrow We'll See." Don't quote me on that.
And I'd have to look it up to be sure.
Uh, Somebody will be like, "Yeah, no, that's not it." But like I would love like
Mhm.
uh, if I could just send. You want to send Rose the link. You want to send Rose the link.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
Send,
go for it.
no, I don't have her
Sure.
email. Just you'll have to send it to her
Oh,
because
yeah.
she is on this. She wants me to ask you about Krampus. I know who Krampus is.
Oh,
Did you have a Krampus situation?
oh, yeah. Let me see if I can get this to her real fast.
She's
I
probably gonna
will.
be like,
I'll
"I'm
talk.
not coming on that shit." I'm curious
You
what
don't know.
line of
You
work
never
she's
know.
in.
You never
I'm
know
curious
about her.
what line of work like this is like going completely off the rails. What line of work is Rose in?
She's retired at the moment. Just recently retired in the last year or two. So she's, figuring out retired life.
Maybe I'll introduce her to Sally. That's my mom, so they can just hang out.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. That
Sally
sounds
retired
good.
a couple years. Sally retired a couple years ago too. But what line of work was she in? Sounds like sales or something like that.
She was a project manager for 30. Well, worked at this place for 35 years. She was a senior project manager for basically a print and mail company. They print like all your Verizon bills and a
Oh
lot of the big
goodness.
contracts like that. So, but that's literally just. I used to work there as one of the machine operators. Literally, they print your bill, they stuff it in an envelope, and they mail it out. But there's machines that do most of the work for you. So.
That's too
Yeah,
funny.
people still do paper bills. Man.
Look, she's already ready to meet Sally. You know, you got to get you on the East Coast there, Rose. Sally, she's not a wild lady, but my mother, like I was a kid. You'll love this. My mother was the one that taught me like nobody likes a tattletale. Don't be a
Yeah.
snitch.
Yeah.
My but nowadays you would say don't be a snitch. My mother was like nobody likes a tattletale. Just understand that. Remember that, kid. Nobody likes a
Oh
tattletale.
yeah.
Got
That's
it,
true.
mom.
It's
And,
true.
and that was like the 70s, 80s version of snitches get stitches. No one likes a
Yeah.
tattletale. Now they're like,
Exactly.
there's that whole thing, and I didn't realize it till I got older. Like, yeah, my mom's telling me like, keep your mouth shut. My mother used to be like, unless somebody's dying, keep your mouth shut. Ain't got nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And I didn't think nothing of it.
My.
Now I look at it and go, my mom was kind of hood. Like, fucking realize like Sally was kind of
Yeah.
hood in that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it sounds like you've got your two biggest fans around you, Angie and Rose. Like, you can do no wrong as far as that, and that's
Yeah. And it's lovely to have that level of support.
like having that support system, having those people around you is just amazing. I can't say enough. And brother, your personality, positive mental attitude, the PMA stuff, that's awesome. Folks, take your time. You gotta go out, check out Stomp Out, hate, love, repeat. And if you remember, it's a comma after each one. Stomp out the hate, love someone, repeat the action. Stomp out the hate, love someone.
It's a daily to do list, man. You just walk down that list every day. Get rid of the hate, love everybody, and then repeat the process.
It truly is. Maybe we can figure out here out on the right coast. Poor Clay's out there on the left coast. We'll save him. I'll make you a promise. I make a lot of people. If you come to Albany, I'll get you tiny hot dogs.
Yeah, tiny hot dogs.
Tiny hot dogs. That's an
Well, it
Albany
sounds
thing,
exciting.
bro.
It sounds.
They're little tiny hot dogs that go in little tiny buns,
Yeah,
and like a meat sauce and cheese on them. They're amazing. Like,
that sounds amazing.
they really are. Like, you buy them by like the 6-pack. It's sort of
Yeah.
like the Albany version of a little tavern with hot dogs.
Okay.
They're amazing.
I've been meaning to make it out that way. I've got a friend of mine who's in a different band who lives in Buffalo. He's on tour right now, but I want to make it up to Albany and Buffalo again. I haven't been in since about 2016.
So that's you nailed it on what everyone thinks. Like, oh, you're in Albany. Buffalo's like right there. That shit's like 4 hours away from me. That's like nowhere near. That's
see,
like,
but for us, so I mean, 4 hours is like across it's the entire state. But I can get to Southern Utah in 4 hours, and that's like, well, that's a quick trip, man.
yeah, you haven't even made it like put it this way. New York City's 2.5 hour train ride from me.
Oh yeah.
Syracuse is another 3 hours, and if I go the other way, Buffalo is about 4 hours for me, and then Niagara Falls is a little bit further. Like, New York is like this weird state that everybody thinks like New York City takes up like the entire state, and then like everything else is just like right off the edge.
Close.
Yeah, it's like,
oh yeah, it's still hours away.
it's like nothing.
Well, I think on our spring dates, I think we're headed to Montreal this year. So next year, I want to see if I can stop in. I don't know if we'll have time, but Well,
If you
we'll
make
be
it,
in that area, the rough area.
if you make it to Montreal, make sure you get you some poutine with some smoked meat. There's a
Oh
fat
yeah,
kid that lives in my soul, bro. There's a fat kid that lives in my soul. The
I've had some good
poutine,
poutine in Canada.
especially with like this the Montreal smoked meat, that shit's
Hmm.
ridiculous. Folks, if you've
Yeah,
already tuned out, we're now going to get into fat kid hour for a moment. Fat kids that travel around, we like to eat. We got a
hey
whole thing
man,
going.
one of the best parts of the band I'm stage managing right now is that they know how to find the good eats, and I've given up trying because they are every time they go like, oh, let's go to this place, and it looks kind of sketchy or questionable. It's the best place.
Like if you come to Albany, we've got a wing spot called the Rock.
Yeah.
Like the Rock's wings, I'll put up
Mm,
against anybody's wings. I don't give a
yeah.
shit. And like so you understand, you're talking to a guy who's had Duff's wings, who's had ankle
Yeah.
bar wings. I've
Hmm.
had some of the best wings in the country.
Yeah.
I'll put Rock's wings right next to them
Wow.
all day long.
That
All
sounds
day long.
tasty.
Yeah, I'm loving the fact uh, Aunt Rose, she's making a plan right now. Angie loves her some little hot dogs, 4 hours of nothing. Angie said fat kids are deliciousness. Thank you, Angie. Uh, and Aunt Rose says she's an eating
Awesome.
machine. I actually interviewed the guy who created diners, drive-ins, and dives,
Yeah.
and
Nice.
Dave's an amazing guy. So
Yeah.
we're gonna get ready. We got to put a bow on this thing. I know. Sooner or later, Starbucks is gonna be like, "Where's your caramel frappuccino?" Which is my favorite one, like the
Get your
caramel
frappuccino out.
get the caramel one with the crunchies on it.
Oh yeah,
That's like the fat kid in me loves that thing. But
that's awesome.
I'll make you a promise. You make it out here to the right coast. We'll go ahead. I'll take you for some tiny hot dogs. We'll hang out. If you play the egg, that would be amazing. You
Oh
come here at
man,
the right time. I'll take you to an indoor box lacrosse game if you've never seen that. That's
not. That sounds amazing too.
from indoor box lacrosse. If anybody who's like into hockey or thinks football is brutal,
Hmm.
you have never watched indoor box lacrosse where the level of the pad is less than a kicker's pad in football,
Oh yeah.
and everyone is about the size of a linebacker,
Oh,
and they just smash each other with sticks in the
they
walls. It's
throw like hockey players.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
here's what I try to explain this to people all the time that people don't believe me. The national sport for Canada is indoor box lacrosse. It is not hockey
Oh, that's awesome.
because they created indoor box lacrosse so that hockey players had something to do in the off season. It's the
Yeah,
same rink,
that
except
makes sense. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
So,
cool.
brother, again, we're working on a show date. That'll be something. Please let us know. I'll promote the daylights out of it here. Would love to see you at the egg. I know that's a little bit of a stretch, but
Yeah, the down the road,
down the
where
road.
yeah, I'm making plans to get some shows under my belt. If I can get, I mean, it really comes down to uh, people. You know, if you want to see more, you want to see it live. We gotta put on a show, buy some tickets. I can find a small club in Albany, New York. I can come play and
If
come
you
have a good
come to
time.
Albany, I'll find you some. I'll reach out to. I already got a bar that I know you, and I know a bar that you could play at. That's Donnie Magoo's. Donnie would be more than happy to have you. You know,
Yeah, that'd be
that's where
cool.
that's where my drag queens play at. So I get you Donnie
Nice,
Magoo's
nice.
without a
Hey
problem.
man, yeah, they drag queens can dance all night to my stuff.
So
Well, well, and I wanted to just pipe in, and so this is what we'll do a quick. So Stomp Out Hate Love Repeat is really just the beginning. I have a whole record's worth of stuff that's coming. I have another. So part of this writing cycle, I've got about 14 or 15 tunes coming your way. I just got to get videos done. I got to get the creative stuff done right. Um, kind of just working through that process in between tour stuff right now. So yeah, keep an eye out for it. It's coming,
we're on the
coming in
look
hot.
all day long and twice on Sunday. We are looking right now. I
Awesome.
can't say how much I love the sound. I love the beat. I love the whole process that you've got, and I love the passion, bro. Like
Thank you.
it's not bullshit. It's not like so I play drums. I'm really good at it. You guys suck. You should be just like me. It's not
Yeah.
that attitude. It's like, hey, if
Well,
you enjoy it, hit me up. I'll show you what I do. I'll teach you my process. I'll show you the
well,
attitude.
yeah.
You really have a great positive attitude.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm trying to make a record that is not what you just said a minute ago. I've met drummers that are like many drummers that are like that, and that have put out records, and it's just not for me. Trying to make something that sounds good, it's fun to listen to, danceable, but also interesting to someone like me, right? Someone who wants to listen to some drums, but not a drum solo nonstop for 20 minutes,
Right.
right?
It doesn't
So
all. It doesn't need to all sound like a Fish concert.
exactly, exactly.
Oh God.
I mean, for people who like that, hey, more power to you. I'm not going to deny you that, but yeah, not for me, man.
Yeah, like I'm very close to Vermont. That shit's like life out there.
Yeah,
Like you have no idea. You have
that's
no
awesome.
idea.
Yeah.
So we've got all
Thank
this
you.
coming up. We've got KLAEdrums.com, KLAE drums.com. Keep learning and exploring. Stomp out the hate, love, repeat. We got all that. We have the prior albums. Make sure you download everything. Make sure you share it with everyone. Make sure you go find him on Instagram.
Yeah.
Make sure,
Tell me what you think.
which is KLAE Drums. Make sure you find him on Facebook, which is KLAE Drums. Make sure you send me a message. Let me know what you think. I'll pass it on to him. If you can't find his stuff, we want to support him. Make sure you send Rose a message and let her know how amazing she is for raising such an amazing drummer. Rose, I'll let all the queens know that you're looking for him. You'll find it interesting that my youngest son's adopted. My son adopted him. Is a queen, Amanda Love, who's been on the show many times. My son just out of nowhere one day was like, "Well, Pop Up." I'm like, "Who you calling Pop Up?" He goes, "Right there," which is my other grandson's grandmother's brother, and he just out of the blue goes, "That's Pop Up." I'm like, "Frank?" He goes, "Yep, Papa Frank." I'm like, "Fuck it,
Why not? Why not? Yeah.
So his grandfather is a drag queen.
Awesome.
That is my life, brother. You have no idea.
That's fantastic.
Shit around here gets wild.
No, I love that
Thank
kind
you
of
so
stuff.
much.
Yeah.
Angie and Rose, thank you for your support. Everyone who listened tonight, thank you for your support. It means so much to us. As always, if you're out there, make sure you check us out on Instagram, The Above the Bar Podcast, our Facebook, The Above the Bar Podcast, our Twitter, the only one that doesn't make any sense, at Above the Bar 4. Somebody else already took the Above the Bar Podcast. Make sure you hit, as always, in all my son's videos, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. Yes, smash the like, hit the subscribe. There's over 1,000 of you that follow us. There's more than that are out there. Make sure you go onto whatever podcast app you're on, whatever platform you're using. Go in there, like and subscribe. The only way KLAE's getting more out of me is if you like it more. More people like it. Facebook pushes it more. The algorithm shows us more. More people see it. More people find out. And look, I read you guys, all of you online. It's the only way I can do it. KLAE, as always, I don't know. Do we need to give Angie a last word? Rose, send me a last word right now, Rose. Send me the last word because we always let the guest have the last word. KLAE's going to get the last word.
Before she gets the last word, I just want to say thanks.
So you get the last word. You get the last word.
Oh, I don't know, man.
No, you get it.
Not with crazy Aunt Rose in the room.
So does Angie have a last word? Because I'll give her a shot.
Give a last word. PMA.
And Crazy Aunt Rose says, "Don't you love new music?" All right. So, brother man, you get the last word. They let you have the last word.
Oh, well, now I don't know what to say. No, I just want to say thanks to you, Sean. Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. Love to chat some more and do it again sometime. And like I said, there's a lot more music coming. I'm trying to get videos to everything and just kind of put some creative thought into things. So feel free to hit me up and tell me what you think about it. If you like it, if you don't, even if you don't, I want to hear that. Like, I want to hear it all. But no, thank you for having me on, and I appreciate it, man.
Brother, we love it. And all right, folks, be sure to push your stool in.
This has been an Earplug Podcast presentation. found on earplugpodcast.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and wherever your favorite podcasts are found.